Now the topic we are going to discuss, that is the categories. The very first one is the substantive rules. The substantive rules determine the conditions under which the people are employed. It determines the certain conditions that how the recruitment process is accomplished by the number of organizations who are hiring the workers for performing the activities. It includes such rules that are normally derived from the implied terms and conditions of employment, legislation, agreements, practices, and managerial policies. So the substantial rule normally derived from the various kinds of terms and conditions. Those kind of terms and conditions are involved and related with the concept of employment conditions, legislation conditions where certain rules and regulations are formed, number of agreements and contracts are formed, plans and policies and managerial policies, and other kinds of directives are framed under the substantive rules. The next category is the procedural rule. The procedural rule is act with the govern that how substantive rules are made. That the previous rules we are studied earlier, it involves the employment rule, legislative rule, and various kind of other rules. The procedural rule governs and identify that how the previous rules are made and how they are understood that these rules should be implemented. Ultimately, by introducing the new rules and regulations and the number of revisions that is for the existing rules and regulations, every organization who are performing their activities and who are producing number of goods and services, they produce the number of goods and services by following some rules and regulations according to the terms and conditions of the organization that is provided by the top level management. So according to the procedural rule, that rules and new innovative ideas must be followed by the number of workers. And if there are existing rules within the organization, the proper revision of the existing rules must be improved so that it builds up the healthy relation between the industrial relationship and it provides the major output of industrial relation system. So there may be the substantive rule as well as the procedural rule within the organization. And if you're talking about the context in the system, that system approach refers to the environment of the society, which is normally determined by the technological nature of the organization. Those context in this system approach, it basically refers to the environment of the system, in which internal environment of the system plays the huge role, which determines the technological nature of the organization, that what kind of techniques are used within the organization. They may be according to the financial techniques or any kind of other constraints which may provide the restriction towards the number of actors or towards the number of managers of industrial relations and their nature of power sharing in the macro environment, namely towards the society. So basically, all the technological nature of the organization will build up the number of constraints and give some parts to the number of managers who help them to build up the relationship between the top level management and the middle level management. The actors of industrial relation have some nature of parts that is related with the macro environment concept and societal concept. So these kind of actors maintain the positive relationship with one another within an environment that made up the three tighty inner woven context. And these are involving that actors who are the managers. Managers are the comforting and environment context that comprise of factors such as technology, market constraints, relative distribution of parts, relations, etc. So according to the context, or we are talking about the environmental context. If you're talking about the environment of the organization, that how the workers perform the various kind of activities by having or adapting some new techniques, some new rules and regulations. It basically involves the relationship between the manager. If the manager provides the good direction to the number of workers, then the goals will definitely achieved on proper time. So it involves actors, which means managers, that comforting an environment context that comprised of number of factors. Actors performs various kind of activities that comprises the factors such as the technological development, market constraints, how the distribution of parts is accomplished and their relation, etc. So these kind of features of environment, that is the technological, market constraints, relative distribution of parts, these kind of features of the environment within the industrial relation system are determined at the larger scale, that is related to the societal scale and its other subsystem. The environment which is involving the industrial relationship system, where certain kind of rules and regulations are framed according to technology or according to market constraints. These all system is determined by the larger system. Prior to the larger system of society, it also involves some other subsystem, and these contexts are defensive in shaping the rules that are established by the actors in industrial relation system. The significant aspects of the environment are, so those number of context and those number of rules and regulations which are established by the managers after identifying the technological availability, market constraints and how to distribute the parts. It became a industrial relation system. And prior to these things, the significant aspect of the environment also included some points. And these significant aspects of the environment are, the very first one is the technological characteristics of the workplace and community. That what kind of techniques are using at the workplace and what are the working situations. Those technological factor of the workplace should be in the effective manner and definitely put in plans towards the managers and toward the management and employees of the organization so that they can perform their working in the healthy environment. The second aspect is the product and factor markets or budgetary constraints that affect on the actors in organization while doing any kind of production or producing any kind of product. In factory, a proper budget must be maintained. If the budgets are not maintained according to the availability of the organization, or the number of factors of market are not determined by the manager while making a certain kind of production, these two factors, that is the market factor and the another one is the budgetary constraint, all these things will definitely put the effect on actor, that is manager, because all these activities are performed by the manager for the smoothness accomplishment of goal within the organization. It also includes the product market and the budget market that put the factors in shaping for framing various kind of rules and establishment of various kinds of rule by the industrial relation system. Because in industrial relation system, we can shape the proper and accurate formation of rules. The market or budgetary context also indirectly influence the technological factors and other characteristics of the working place. Because according to the market scenario and according to having the efficient amount of budget within the organization, all these things will definitely put influence on technology. If the organization doesn't have efficient amount of budget within their organization, then they are not able to buy the new technology, efficient technology according to the current scenario. And all other characteristics will definitely affect, that is the working place environment. The next point is related with the political context, that is the locus and distribution of power in the larger society. that how the powers should be distributed among the number of managers if the society plays the roles at very large scale. And it definitely results to the degree that is to be reflected within the industrial relation system. That is their position, their prestige, and their assessment towards the ultimate authority within the large society that shapes the number of constraints within the industrial environment. So the last point is basically depict with the political context that build up the relation between the locus point and the distribution of parts in the larger society. That how the parts are distributed among the actors in the larger society so that they can reflect their industrial relation system according to their prestige, their position, and how they assess that particular kind of authority that is given by the top level management and how they can shape in an effective manner to build up a healthy relation. The next topic is the web of rules. Web of rules word denotes with where there are the connection of rules and regulations within the business environment. The establishment of rules that denotes to the number of actors. Actors means managers. The establishment of rules are held by the managers. In the given context, they establish the rule for the working place, for the organization, or for the work community. And all these are for those governing in which the constraints that is related with the actors who perform their work in the industrial relation system. Basically, web of rule means proper rules and regulations are framed by the number of managers for working place for working community which are related with the industrial relation system. According to this network or according to this web of rule, they mainly consist various kind of procedure, various kind of rules and regulation and the structure for the purpose of establishing the effective amount of rule which involves the substantive rules and number of procedures which help us in deciding the applications of the particular situation. While performing the various kinds of activities within the organization, according to the changing in circumstances, there must be a change in plan too. So, according to the changing in circumstances, various networking or web rules are framed by the actors for deciding to choose up the best and appropriate rules and regulation for a particular kind of situation and to cope up with that situation. So the substantive rule are the requirements and conditions for applications of labor. These rules are for established for the sake of requirement and the number of conditions in which the number of labor and workers are performing their activities. While if we are talking about the procedural rules, they involve the way in which the parties actually arrive and formulate these rules. So, substantial rule denotes with the requirement and the condition of the working environment, and the procedural rule involve the way in which the rules are established and how the rules are formulated and how the rules are actually implemented. And all these factors and all these conditions are critical in the nature of industrial relation system. So by continuing this topic, it also includes some points that these are expressed in the variety of forms. Web of rules are divided into variety of forms. That is the regulations, plans and policies of management. It may also include the law of any work hierarchy that may include the regulations, decisions, awards, or order of government agencies, rules, decision, specialization, collective bargaining agreement, custom traditions. All these things are expressed in the web of rules. In the concept of web of rules, while framing the various kind of rules, these must be in the favor of workers as well as towards the organization. Various kind of rules relating to the decision, awards, and the government agencies are framed for the smoothness of business. And as well as collective bargaining agreements are also formed in the favor of workers. Where the demands of workers are not fulfilled, they use the collective bargaining agreement as on the behalf of all the workers. One person will talk to the top level management regarding their problem and solve the problem related to their workplace. In any particular system or in any particular situations, the rules may be incorporated in the number of the forms. If in a particular situation is arises where there must be a solution, in that case, those number of rules must be incorporated in the number of forms. Those forms must be in the form of written, in the form of oral tradition, or in customary practices. In fact, if you're talking about the dynamic society, a number of rules which may include the administration are under frequent review and changes. Under dynamic society, where the terms and conditions and the environment is changing according to the environment, where the environment doesn't remain still, that is the dynamic society. Under the dynamic society, the rules including their administrative rules under which frequent reviews and changes are implemented. If we are talking about the concept of ideology, the word ideology itself means various kind of ideas and beliefs. The ideas and beliefs that are held or established by the managers, that are actors, which and when consensus that help them to reach and bind to stabilize the industrial relation system. Various kind of new innovative ideas and techniques and beliefs are used by the number of managers who help the number of workers and provide the direction and provide the accurate path so that they can achieve their industrial goal. It helps them to bind in a one form, that is the top level management, and the second one is the lower level management. They help them to bind them and to stabilize their position in industrial relation system. Basically, an ideology is the set of various kind of ideas and beliefs that are commonly adapted by the manager, which help them to integrate the various system together and their entity and build up a position within the market according to the current scenario. Basically, the ideas of the industrial relation system build up a body or a structure in which the common ideas are framed and defined for the role and place of each actor is performed. That is, management, number of workers, and public specialized agencies are also involved. And the ideas that each manager hold towards the place of function and other system. Whatever the functions are accomplished within the organization, all those functions are accomplished according to the new and innovative ideas. The ideology of the industrial system must be different from the ideology of the larger society system. Those systems which are previously held within the organization or by adapted by the society, those systems must be different and according to the today's scenario for the development of industrial society. The ideology or the philosophy of a stable system. To stabilize the system of the organization, it definitely involves the capability, which involves the view and rest of the system. Those kind of ideas which are established by manager, they are built up to stabilize the system of the organization, and by innovating ideas, they can improve their system and improve their productivity too. The implementation of various kind of new ideas are fruitful towards the distinguish between the disputes over the organization and among the disputes that are arising between the organization and between the number of workers. The basic idea is to remove any kind of dispute among the top level management and the lower level management. So a proper framework is established, and by accepting that particular framework, proper and smooth work is established within the organization. Thank you.